Hey, folks. I'm here with Dr. Bhagat. I just called him the infamous because I feel like that's who he is. He's probably one of the dopest brothers I know. We two professionals that have been doing work with communities of color for a really long time. Definitely within the spectrum of healing and supporting and helping. And we're just going to spend a couple minutes talking about y'all and talking about this craziness and what we can do to stay balanced during this time as much as possible. So, what's up, bruh? Like, what you?
Yeah, this is good. I'm glad to be talking to you and connecting. This is, like I was telling you, this is my first time in the office since March 13th. They shut down things, saying that we would be back at the end of March. So I'm working in Richmond Public Schools now, and my office is with the Department of Culture, Climate, and Student Services. So we got a call, got an email actually that the office would be open today. So I said, let me come in and
How's
just
that been? Like
take care of my space.
quarantine for, you're such a free spirit, and I can't even imagine what that looks like. You just
Well, I got,
within a full wall restriction.
I got to tell you, like I've been staying at home. I've kind of been, I got a lot of work that I need to catch up on, but I've kind of noticed that um, I've been almost like taking this time just to regenerate, but on the other side of it, feeling a lot overwhelmed and almost immobilized. Like I don't really want to do any work. I just want to, uh, like I binged on uh, All American on Netflix.
Dude, I'm up to like season 2, episode 6. So don't ruin it for me.
I crushed it. I crushed it. And so my people are like just so happy to see me just like on the couch, just chilling.
Yeah.
Like they're saying you're constantly going and like, don't feel guilty. And I do got to catch up though. But I'm looking at like, if like this is time for clearing my plate off. But today it really hit me that there's so much emphasis on like the health crisis, and it should be,
Yeah.
and the economic crisis. Then it also hit me that we're in a spiritual crisis too. Like this
Absolutely.
is like some people are, just from my observation, like they don't know what to do spiritually.
Yeah.
Like like um where do I turn? And the resources that are available are just really focusing on economics. That's and that we could talk about that, but and the health crisis, like the social distancing and things like that. But there's like a spiritual crisis, I would say, because it's, how do you connect with your deeper self if you're relying on a system and an approach that isn't really based on
Hmm.
a spiritual model? Or
Well, and how often do we stop in life to connect with yourself? Like, how many of us can really say, you know, I'm so in tune with my spiritual self, all the time, because we clutter our lives and our minds and our hearts with doing. This is such a doing kind of world, because if you don't do, you'll be left behind, right? So then now that you're forced, society, this pandemic, everything that's happening is forcing you to have to stop. You're having to look at a lot of sides of you that perhaps you need to get to know again, perhaps got lost along the way. You don't even know who you are anymore. And in the middle of this crisis, I think that there are moments where you have a quiet minute and you think about it and you're like, who am I? And
Mhm.
where am I going? And what am I doing? And where am I wasting my life? How many toxic relationships am I in?
Yeah.
How many jobs that I can't stand or don't have passion around. You know, like it,
Yeah.
yeah, all that is coming to a head at the same time that you got to
Right.
homeschool your kids. You
Yeah.
know, like
Or like you might uh be so attached to your job, and even though you might still be getting paid, you're like, but what am I gonna do now with this time? Because that was in addition to like I don't have to work. Like my kids are at school, but that's where all your social connections were. And then on top of that, it's like, oh, now if I open this door, there's some things in behind this door that I really don't want to deal with. There's
right,
some things like that I've been able to um, avoid addressing because I am
exactly,
doing. And
exactly,
so that's where I think we have to figure out what to offer ourselves and our community, because we can't, like, we definitely cannot rely on this system, this government. I mean, like, like there's not, I mean, I would go as far as to say, where's the compassion for the frontline health workers? You
dude. I
feel
was
me?
just talking to somebody about that. I'm like, you know, I'm reflecting on this, and I'm like, these people, all of us, right? Because I'm still considered an essential, you know, worker, and we're still seeing patients left and right. And so many people are in crisis right now. And I'm thinking about all of us who decide to go into the health service field. We've decided to dedicate our lives to helping others, right? And I'm like, after all this said and done, how many of us still got, you know, student loans that we have to pay back? So you know, like, you're in the front lines, you're doing this, you're trying to make sure that you're taking care of folks, and then how do you even take care of yourself, and who takes care of you as you're trying to navigate these waters, and then all the pressure that you, like, all that doesn't go away, you
Mhm.
know, all that pressure doesn't go away, student loans don't go away. Well, hopefully, maybe they will, who knows,
Yeah,
let's get
yeah,
Elizabeth Warren up in here,
right,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So what would be your recommendation? Where do we start? How do we start a spiritual awakening?
That's such a deep question. I mean, it might be different for, you know, depending on where people are. Um, I think we gotta first of all acknowledge that there is um, that there's something greater than ourselves. Like this little virus, this little tiny microscopic virus, and I mean, regardless of whatever theory that you believe is the cause of it, this little virus has the world like turned upside down.
Right.
You know, it's not even a cell. It's like, you know, it's smaller than a cell. And it just has like the greatest, so-called greatest country, the greatest economy on lockdown,
That's right.
a virus, you
Right.
know? So it's like there, you know, there's something greater than ourselves. So for me, I would start by where's my connection to that? And
Mm,
just from my teachings and my practices, that connection to that source greater than ourselves, it's not outside of ourselves, it's inside of ourselves.
right.
It's like actually inside of our heart. It's like deep within our heart. So maybe start off, you know, in whatever way that feels comfortable for you to spend some time, whether it's 5 minutes a day in the morning when you first wake up, whatever time, to just be silent, or
Yeah.
maybe not be silent, but just connect with that part of you that is like connected with the source. That's what I would do. Like, or
Yeah.
that's what, yeah, like that's what I would do.
And
And
rhythmically with the rest of the world, like, you know, I was having another side conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about the idea that um, what what does like Mother Earth and the universe need to do sometimes to upset the way that we abuse nature,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and I thought I was thinking about the depth of that question. You know, how disrespectful sometimes can we be about the natural way of of nature, you know, tearing down trees and um climate, the what we're doing with this whole climate change, burning down forests and natural habitats, right? And like, what does it need to do sometimes to correct that order, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and to make sure that humans, like you said, get checked. Because this is definitely a way for that to happen, right? The carbon footprint, zero to none, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how many people are really driving cars right now, no matter if gas is 99 cents, right?
Right.
And production of a lot of the things that were happening to disrupt nature has, you know, so also spiritually feeling and being one with Mother Nature and with the earth and with
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that
Yeah, like
we lose.
that. I think that's more concrete for people too. Like, so um, maybe spiritual energy is too abstract, but Earth, connect the Earth. The Earth is greater than us as individuals, and we are part of it. So it's like connecting with the Earth, um, and I don't know, just like um, one of my friends is into like gardening, urban gardening, and so he's kind of like building up this building resilience through connecting with the earth. Like let's create um, what do you call those things? Um, oh my god. Uh,
Like the gardening beds or
yeah,
the
yeah. The bed. What are they called? Uh, anyway, the beds. I
mhm,
can't remember the specific term, but like people come together, you
mhm,
know, creating beds. The social distancing because you could work over here, you could work over there,
right.
you could work over there, but we're doing something for ourselves, connecting to the earth, and we could be doing something for the community too. Um, so I think this is a opportunity for us as a community to figure out how to really connect and support each other. Like even it's like it's a time of using this time and space to really figure out what do we need to do to build our resilience as a community. How do we need to address our the root causes of urban trauma? Like this takes it to a deeper level too. Um, I mean, there's so many ways we could go with this
I
because
know. Yeah.
on this society that is considered a great society or the great American society, I mean, I think this is putting us on blast too as a nation. Like, who gets care, who doesn't get care? Um, what's important, the economy or life? You know what I mean? So,
And also its fragility, right? Like,
yeah.
yesterday you was on top of the world making, you know, X amount of money or whatever, and tomorrow that all can be snatched. I mean, I think the reality of like the fragility of life, the fragility of what you think you have control over, you know, do you control it? Does it control us? You know, like, what that, I think all that can be brought to question right now, you know, and feeling, allowing yourself a space to feel all of that um, is one of the components that I think I've learned from you in terms of spiritual connection. And you do it a lot through drumming. And I would, you know, like, that to me is so dope because it's also about the vibrations
Hmm.
spiritually. Like, I know that every time I hear you in a drum circle, every time I hear you hit those drums, there's a spiritual awakening in me around feeling the music and feeling that vibe. you know, and that's spiritual too, you know.
Yeah, that's spiritual. That's like that's restorative. That's trauma healing. That's like a way where, I mean, it is a formula. I was going to say that's where we don't have to use a formula, but that's a formula where, like, you don't really got to explain it. You just do it and be part of
Yeah,
it. You know what I mean? And it takes you there when you kind of are in a space of surrendering yourself to it. And that's also something, it's like, those are the kind of things where maybe the quote unquote dominant culture kinds of pushes aside. But
hmm,
like, those are the kind of practices that I think elevate us, and we need to start being more unapologetic about our approaches and our solutions to our own problems. Like, I mean, I don't feel like Western society has the answers,
right.
and I think like they're still trying, that Western society, or yeah, like Western society, Western medicine,
Hmm.
Western politics are dominating the stage, dominating the media. But when it comes to like spirituality and community healing and trauma healing, they don't have the answer. And that um, this maybe could be a time where we can try to find positioning for how to get a message out that really resonates with our people first and
Yeah,
foremost, but with the world as a whole. Like, um, because I think other cultures too um, want to elevate and resonate with, you know, what our ancestors and what we've proven as resilient people.
that's right. Yeah. I mean, the other side of this, right, is resiliency. How we manage the situation, how we manage the fear and the vulnerability that we're experiencing right now, the exposure, the uncertainty, the unpredictability. That all is going to go into, how we get to the other side of this. I was listening to this soca artist that I love. He's a very spiritual dude, Cass, and he was saying that the biggest, I'm not gonna quote him exactly, but something about like the biggest regret or the biggest disappointment if we get through all this, um, and no one realizes what we could have done better, how we could have changed as a person or a community or a society. If we go back to being the same, that would really have been the biggest devastation. And I think there's so much truth to that. Like, how do we take this opportunity, to your point, to be still and to determine whether our current circumstance has become the final destination without even us knowing it, you
Hmm.
know? But spirituality allows you to connect to yourself and to other things in a much more meaningful way, you know?
And I think that's an individual choice, because like the system is not going to change. You can already see, like, we're talking about, because I'm not just going to put it on like as like Trump is the only one talking about this. It's Trumpist, or it's not even just Trumpism. It's like a system that is saying, okay, we're going to go back to work by Easter. We want to save the economy. Like, that system is, it is what it is, but that's not what's going to get us to the other side.
Yeah,
Period. Like, we got to make money. We got to cover our bills. That's practicality. I mean, we know we
right.
got to do that to exist in this world. But to what the brother said, the soca artist, like, how am I going to change how I interact within this? Am I still going to do the same? Am I still going to live the same way as I did before, or am I going to um, how am I going to change? How am I going to make a difference? And
Yeah.
then, so like, oh wow, this is so deep, because this is almost like after social distancing, when we connect socially, like what is my social connection going to be to
Right.
like, am I still going to,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. What is that going to look like? And what kind of meaning do I bring behind it? And intentionality, like what's my intention when I connect with you? Yes, psychologists forever have determined that we are a people that are meant for connectivity. We're meant to want to be together. We
right,
yearn to be with one another, and now we're being forced not to do that in order to not spread this disease among each other. And so at the point that we can go back to being with one another, what changes?
yeah,
What changes, right? That's really the question. I'm gonna leave it there because I think that I want to leave people with food for thought.
okay,
What changes?
yeah,
What changes in you? What changes in us? Yeah.
that's cool.
Meditate on that.
All right.